if content is the king, community is the queen. So a community cannot possibly run without content. So I think I have been talking to a lot of you, and something that happens is that initially we have got a lot of content ideas for our community, right? That we want to do this, we want to do that. And after a couple of months, it gets a little exhausting. And then we are like, hey, I'm stuck. I'm not being able to think of new ideas. Thinking of new ideas itself is a huge task. So, and it requires effort. And that is not something you can doing it every day is challenging. So how can we use the content that we have previously created for our communities, and to create new forms of content and go ahead and build thriving engagement within our communities, right? So this is what we are going to talk. I'll just move. So to give like a very quick a framework of what we are going to discuss, we're going to talk around what is content repurposing, why should we be repurposing our content, which kind of content obviously we can repurpose, and some of the ways we can use this strategy, right? So yeah, moving on. When we talk about, so before I go on to this, there are a couple of things that I want to highlight. Fine. So yeah, so like I said, that I have been talking to a couple of community managers, and this is something I personally have struggled as well, that every day what kind of content should I be creating, right? Tell me if you're able to relate that. Does this happen that okay, you're excited one day and then you come up with some content, you put it up, it goes extremely well, right? Some days this also happens that you have created some content, but it's not like you thought it was going to work out for your community and it did not. And some days this happens that you're just too tired, your brain is too tired to think of anything, but at the same time there is some content that has to go in the community. So if you are building your independent community, you can still pick that, hey, I don't want to put up content today. But say when you're doing it for a brand, when you're getting paid for it, this happens that there are a couple of days that are planned where you want to run certain campaigns or something, and that day has to go out. So how do you do things, right? This is one of your solutions here, content repurposing. It's also known as content recycling. Ideally, it is the practice of reusing elements of your content, like either the entire content or some slices of your content, such that you can increase the reach of that content. So you can repurpose a content by either if you change its format, or by targeting a whole new audience to altogether. For example, we talked about that, say you worked on this content, right, that you put your heart into, and for some reason it didn't work. Like there was not much engagement on your community platform around that content, but you had put in like a lot of research. So how can you how can you make more people reach it, right? So obviously, when you think about it, what can be some of the possible reasons that you have put in content with you have spent a lot of time creating that content, you put it in the community and it did not work out. This is again, this is one of the examples of content repurposing. I think Bava just gave a very good example that he did an event, and there he extracted the video audio, and then he used the text and he used it for social media, right? This is one of the ways you can repurpose, because I know everyone here has conducted one event, at least one, like has conducted at least one event for their communities. They will be able to relate to this, and this is something they can also start using in the coming days for their communities. So this was I think the community reflection was one of the first events that I was part of for LM. And during that time, it was about members putting up questions around communities. I think last week also we did community reflection. This is something we do now on a monthly basis, where we try to hear your community problems and we try to give in solutions. So whatever questions or whatever thoughts community members had shared from that event, because again, these thoughts or these learnings are not just limited to these community builders, right? This is something that almost everyone faces. Like, talk about engagement, talk about getting people to your event, talk about like having that block of, I can't think of new content for my community. Every community builder goes through that. So while they express these challenges and we try to like discover ways of solving them, we took notes obviously, and the session was recorded and we transformed that into a blog. We took quotes that people had expressed, we made that into posts that was shared on Instagram, and that had some amazing reach. And then post the event, once everyone was done venting out, and also not just venting out but also sort of contributing and sharing how we could all come out of this situation. We asked them to share like one word how they were feeling post the event, right? Like subtle ways of showing people of what happens during your event, and why they should again come and tell your audience on your brands as brand handles as well. Rahul, you were asking me, right, that what are some of the other ways you can increase or you can get more people to your community? So this is one of the ways that you have hosted your event and you have done a fantastic job of 2 hours of doing that. But now your people who came and attended your session, they have the power of going back and sharing that they want some learnings from there. But at the same time, they can choose not to do it, right? So instead of depending on that external entity, why not write your own blog, that this is what we had talked around, this is what someone had raised a question, like give credits to the person who had asked the question, and this is what your solution to it was. You might have taken down some inspiring quotes that members had shared. And then if you had asked for feedback, use the feedback to transform into a word cloud and then put it up on your social media. And that kind of and always tag the people who had attended, so they will go and reshare. Like suddenly you're giving them that push to go and share the content around your event, and more people know that you did some amazing event, and then they'll keep an eye that when is Rahul doing his next event, right? So yeah, I mean, this is one of the examples. Moving on, now that we talked around that, okay, this is what content repurposing means. This is, we are doing webinars. We can always repurpose our webinars. Also, I think Baba, like I'll just add one more example to the previous event, Wala example that we were talking, that you have done your event, and through Zoom, always you can extract the audio. Podcasts are not my thing, so that's why I miss out on this example a lot of times. You can, if it's a panel discussion, or if it's a monologue, if it's just a webinar, you can extract that audio clip and you can put it up on you can always put it up on podcast channels and share it on your social handle again. If you're creating a blog, I think Medium has this feature where you can also add audio to your Medium blog, so do that as well. And yeah, I think great ways to sort of repurpose your event. Now the question is, why should we repurpose the content? While these are some of my reasons for repurposing content, would like to know if you have which which are the ones that you are able to relate. So when I think of this, the first thing that comes to my mind, right, that my idea, that is a task in itself. So instead of how is it that I'm coming up with one idea and then I'm able to use it for multiple causes, such that my time is saved, right? This is one of the main reasons why I would repurpose content, because obviously, like, I prefer quality over quantity. So it's not, for me, it's never like I'll come up with different ideas for different content, because that's That's again time consuming. You come up with a content, you'll try to write its copy, you'll try to create its visuals, maybe you'll put your heads in ki kaise dikhna chahiye, kaise nahi. And then you have suddenly taken a lot of your time, which you could have invested for better things for your community. So, you can pick up one idea and then you can create multiple smaller blocks around it. Very good example was the event, right? Like you invested 1 or 2 hours of doing an event, and then you have created blogs, you have created Instagram posts, you have created quote posts, you have created podcasts, and suddenly, you have 4 or 5 different types of content from one event that you did. Second is save on your content creation time. Just curious, can you guys write down how much time does it usually take for you to like come up with a content, a post, a post or a chat room idea for your community? Can you just write it on the chat? Prakriti has written that she's not able to hear properly. Is everyone able to hear, or is it my audio? Hello? People, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Able to hear, no issue.
Yeah,
Cool, cool.
able to hear you.
Great. So just want to ask that how much time does, on an average, does it take for you to come up with a new chat room idea or a new post for your community? Can you just write it in the chat? Until then, I'll just wait for you guys to. Okay, Gitika has written 2 hours. Nive has written 2 hours. Rahul has written 45 minutes. Others? Honish has written event ideas itself take a lot of time. Great. Okay. People who. What about you, Prakriti, Shiva Kumar, Udisha, Vineet? Like Prakriti and I have spoken around this like content creation time and writer's block for so many hours that yeah, I think I've had this conversation with Prakriti and Ruchi a lot of times. So yeah, Shiva, what are your thoughts? Udisha, Vineet, Nigel? How much time does it take for you to come up with a chat room idea or for a post for your community? Shiva has written 2 hours. I have quarterly content calendars that helps. Yes. Thanks for sharing that, Rahul. Great practice that you create content calendars. And I have a follow-up question in that as well. But just waiting for others to write it down. But even for example, for a content calendar, right? Like even if you create it, say for a, like I prefer creating it for 2 weeks in general, because I don't know what my mood is going to be after 2 weeks. So if for me, it's usually like I create content calendar, like content this, and then depending on what I'm feeling that day, I'll post the content. So this is how I sort of balance between um, how I'm feeling and putting up content in the community. So, okay, Udisha has written that. Okay, Udisha, the question actually is that how much time does it take for you to create a chat room idea or a content for your community? So Rahul, even if even if you're creating a content calendar, you are still thinking that okay, tomorrow I'm going to talk around this for my Monday or Wednesday I'm going to talk around this. So that idea, right? This is what I'm asking, that how much time does it take for you? Like for one idea. Odisha has written depends 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so Shiva has also written 2 hours. So for me, it ranges from 10 minutes to one whole day or 2 days as well. Because that's the kind of that's how my creativity works, right? So different people for different kinds of content, the different kinds of interactions that you want to have, this time will differ. It's not that I can draw that average for a community builder it takes 45 minutes. No, creative stuff you can never predict. They just click while you're watching a movie, that it can click while you're having some 2M conversation at a party with some amazing community builders. It can click while you're just sitting at home and listening songs. right? Being in a creative field, it's never like you're sitting on a laptop and you will sit and suddenly you'll have an idea, right? So this time differs. So how is it you can, but it is time consuming. That's all I would like to comment. So imagine that, as a community builder, if you don't put up content and if you just come up with that reason that, hey, I'm not able to think of content ideas, so I will not put up content in my community, what will happen is that you can choose that for one day, you can choose that for 2 days. On the third day, your members are going to look for alternatives that, okay, here no interaction is happening, which are some of the other communities where I can go and join, where they will where these people will feed me that content, right? Like this happens if you're not happy with product A, you're obviously go and look for its substitutes, and then suddenly you've lost the interest of your members, you've lost the trust of your members, right? So instead of investing a lot of time in creating for every content, why not invest it for one, uh, like invest that content idea time for one, and then use it for creating five more content, five more sets of content for your community. Third is that, redeem less successful content. I just gave that example that, you put in a lot of effort, you and assuming that it was the right content for your community, it still didn't work out. So it was because perhaps your members were not available, or it was not properly structured to put it up in the community. So this is also one of the reasons that it didn't work. So why not put it up in the community again, but in a with a makeover, and with and at the right time, right? So content repurposing, like, you could use content repurposing for giving a makeover to your content that you felt deserved the right engagement and the popularity. Fourth is cross-platform content promotion. If you want to promote your content on YouTube, it would differ from how you would put it up on, how you would like to promote it on Twitter, or how you would like to put it up on LinkedIn. So how is it that you have one content, but you are able to sort of cater to the media types, or the content, or the right content type for the different platforms, right? So this is also one of the reasons why you would repurpose content. um, Fifth is, again, you are catering to the needs of multiple audience preferences. Like I just said, that if you're writing a Medium blog, you can always add an audio to it, because there are a lot of people who don't enjoy reading, but they do listen to blogs. So while they're doing something else, they can just play the audio and they can listen to what you have written, right? Some people prefer watching videos over listening to podcasts, because they feel that they lose out on, they cannot concentrate or something until unless there's a visual interaction. Some people prefer reading over watching videos, because it's they find audio too chaotic, or they lose interest quickly. So how is it that this and this kind of audience exists for all domain types, right? So how is it that you can sort of reach out to them and give them you give them the content in a way that is attractive for them, right? Then obviously improved community visibility. If you are giving your content, you're decorating your content in a manner that different audience types within your domain would like it, you are putting it up on different social media channels, for the kind of content type that those channels are meant for, obviously you're going to increase your community visibility, right? And again, when you're increasing your community visibility, you are creating a way for new members to find you, right? So these are the reasons why you can repurpose content. You should actually be repurposing content. So now when we are talking about, we have spoken about content, right? Like why I should be repurposing content. Let's understand what kind of content can we repurpose. These are some of the ideas that I can think of, that there's always evergreen content in every domain. For example, I think in community management, it's going to be community engagement. Like, talk about community engagement any day, every CM would be like, okay, the years will be like this, that okay, what are some of the ways we can engage our members? It's the same thing, but it's an evergreen content that every community manager wants to listen to. So, or community rituals are like my evergreen content. I'm up for listening to it any day, anytime. That is a kind. So identify what is the evergreen content for your domain and for your audience, and then you can you can repurpose that. Like you can create, like you can put it up multiple times in your community by making slight tweaks in its visuals, or in the way it's written, and you can generate engagement. You can reach your community members better. Then popular community discussions. If you have like a very interesting discussion around some topic or some subtopic that's happening in your community, don't limit it to there. Write a blog around it, take screenshots, put it up on your community handle stories, or tag these people and let them reshare it, so that other people hear you, other people get FOMO that this community has such incredible discussions, I should come and join here. Third is quality. Like we discussed, the quality content that you create with a lot of effort, but it needs that slight styling or makeover. And fourth is your events. Like there's a lot of content that can come from events. I know people who do like one event and they create like 10 to 15 videos, and then they put it up on their channels for the next 2-3 months. And yeah, like suddenly they're gaining subscribers. And these are some of the content types that you can sort of repurpose for your community. Moving on. Okay, so this is the very recent repurposing that we have been doing at LikeMinds, and I just want to share this as an example. So if you guys have not read it, please go and read the State of Indian Community Management report. This is gold in terms that it will give you the complete insights around the community industry, and it will tell you that and then you are able to understand what are the things you can do to stay at like be great community builders, and to obviously like gain more members and do incredible work. It will tell you where you can imagine yourself in the next 10 to 15 years. So one incredible insight that I want to share is, by the way, 24% of the people who started their own communities, right? So I think for there were 180 community builders that have contributed to this report. They have shared their journeys. I think Vineet is here. Vineet was part of it. Prakriti has been part of it. These were two people I remember. Siddharth is literally the person who's designed it, who's made it possible. So we were all part of this report. And let me tell you one interesting insight is that among those 180 community builders, right, from India who shared their insights around this report, we found that for communities that were led by individuals, that was somewhere around 82. 48% were monetized, and among those 48% monetized community, for 24% of them, they were earning more than 10 lakhs through their communities per annum. So sky is the limit for independent community builders today in our country. Coming back to content repurposing, this was the main report that we had launched, right? Right now, for us to reach more people, what can we do? We hosted a panel discussion where we did a launch of the report, that these are the main key takeaways. We brought in some seasoned community builders, and we try to like discuss that what could be the reason why this is happening. For example, we found out that more than half of the people who took the survey had experienced burnout in this industry. What is the probable reason that the other half did not experience it? Or is it that they have experienced it but they don't want to acknowledge it? So these kind of discussions we try to have, like the quality, like this was a quantified report, right, to more focus on the quality of why it's happening. For example, that globally, women are more in the community industry compared to men, but in our survey we found that only 1/3 of our respondents were females. So what again could be the reasons? Could be that the role is still not clearly defined. So these were some of the discussions we did during this panel. I wrote again, I went on and took a section, because obviously the report is a 61-page report. You can't talk about everything and anything together. So I started taking sections and writing my own blogs around the report. We had asked some of the insane community builders in the industry to share their codes, and we added, while we also added that in the report, we also made posts out of it, put it up on social media, and we got mentions from these community builders, and we could reach, again, we could reach their network of community builders that this report was created, and they're coming and reading the report. Then we made a graph post, just infographic, like, putting up the graphs out there that this many community builders participated, or these were the regions which received where we received participation, to talk around the report. And then we started doing this quizzes on Instagram, where we sort of start targeting our Instagram audience to go and reach to the report. So I'm just giving you a very real life example here of content repurposing, that we invested so much of time, like I think we have been working on it for 3 months to create this report. So now if we just put it up once, we will not reach the audience for it, and we want to do it. So how is it that's possible? We obviously have to keep on tweaking the content. We obviously have to bring out slices of content, put it up on different channels, so that people find it, right? People discover it. So this is one, you could say, a case study example of how we at LikeMinds we at LikeMinds are using content repurposing to reach audience. Okay, so moving on, what are some of the ways that we can repurpose content, right? These are some of the ideas that we've come across. If you have any ideas that's coming to your mind, let's also take that up, and we can add that in the chat, and and then we can go ahead and use it for our communities. So one is, highlight valuable community posts on your monthly newsletters. So newsletters are like, one, like, how do I put it? The way I define it, it is that, in one scroll, you can, it's like a magazine kind of a thing that gets over in one scroll of your phone, and there are different sections, and a person who's reading the newsletter can pick up which section they want to read, and they can gain some insights. So newsletters are a good way to reach out to your members who don't come to your community platform, so that they know that these have been some of the interesting discussions that's happening in the community, and you obviously give them some good reads from your from the industry. So newsletters can be comprised of people who have joined your community, or you can obviously ask people who are not part of your community, who have not paid for your membership, to sign up for your newsletter, such that you send them content on a monthly basis. And what happens is, once they start feeding your content, once they start finding value, like in the starting of the session, Rahul, we were discussing value, right? So through newsletters, you can give continuous value to your potential audience, right? So once they start finding value in your content, they come and sign up for membership. So highlight, so if you have newsletters, and I recommend that you go ahead and launch newsletters for your community, share some of the valuable posts that go out. I don't know, like, if so most of you are subscribed to the newsletter for LikeMinds, right? Like, we do it on a weekly basis. So you will see that we put up the Instagram live events that we do on those newsletters towards the end, for you to go and watch them if you've not watched it. Second is, transform your community discussion into a blog post. I just said that if you have had like a super interesting discussion in your community, don't limit it to your community, go ahead and share it. I remember we were once discussing in LMCM that how would you define community, and we had like a very, very interesting definitions coming up from members, and we took screenshots of those and we put it up on Instagram and we tag these people, right? So that is again one of the forms of telling people that such your community is comprised of real people like them, and you guys are doing kick-ass work. Third is that you group similar content into a series. Like I just gave an example that if you can if you have done an event for 1 hour, you can create like 10 to 15 videos out of it. Okay, if not 10 to 15, can we target like 5 to 7? And then you can group them into a series and you can put it out there. I don't know if you guys know this. So previously we used to do sessions. We have done like a lot of sessions around community building, right? What we did was we took those video recordings and we polished them, and now we've launched a course on community building from LikeMinds, and a couple of people are enrolled in it, and we're receiving good feedback around it as well. So this is how we actually created a course out of events that we were doing for lunch with LMCMs. Fourth is that share community webinars as publicly accessible video tutorials. Just gave an example of that we used to do these sessions for lunch with LMCMs, and we thought that, hey, these are some amazing, incredible content. Why not group them together and create a public resource for other community builders out there who cannot possibly join our sessions because of timings, because they're not part of LMCMs or whatnot. Then summarize long posts through info or instruction graphics. So for example, if you're planning for a contest for your community, what you can do is, you can create you create a visual that you're doing this contest right now, and then you will have a long description. So know that your user will not spend more than 15 seconds to read your content. I think 15 seconds is a very good, very long time. So they will not read that much of content, and it's easy for them to skip text content. So in your visual itself, give them the right instructions. So that can become your instructographic. Or if you are, for example, this report, right? Like we have created. So from what we did was, we took the key takeaways and we created like an infographic on the website, so that people could actually read what are the main highlights from the SYCM report. That kind of creates their interest, and they go and download it. And that is also something like, that is also facts that they readily have access to, and they can, if they want to talk to someone about the facts, they can just open that website, and they can check the infographic and they can share it. Then share member stories with community testimonials across platform. Many of you have been doing this on Feel Good Friday. You take a screenshot and you share, this is what my member said. So apart from putting it up on Feel Good Friday, take those screenshots, put it up on your community social handles as well, and tag your members so that they go ahead and share it as well. So don't just limit the good things to your community, go and tell it to the world, right? That is the one message. So these are the 7 ways that I feel that you can repurpose content. If you have other ideas, let's talk about it. And till that time, I'll just walk through the examples of how I've seen people doing it. So if you're a Twitter person and you write, like, Twitter is a place where you write short form content to express your opinions. So Arbab, again, a very great community builder and someone I admire. He made this tweet, and he took a screenshot of it and he converted that into an Instagram post. So this is again one way of creating content for your Instagram, because you created one quote for your Twitter. Then if you create carousels on a regular basis, you can transform that into reels or YouTube shorts and put them up. We have been doing that at LM. Then if you scribble, right, like if you like writing and then you come up with different quotes or something, take them up and add some visuals to it and put it up on your Instagram, or as a story or as a post. Then again, you can take your community learnings from an event as an attendee, or as the person who's doing it, and then share it, like write a story around it on your Medium or on your LinkedIn, and then share it with the people who are in the industry, and tell them out loud that how passionate you are about the field. So these are some of the ways you can repurpose content. Yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen. I think that's it for the session. For the ones who are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us.